back, all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, Charlie's HQ for all things comic book connected. We are Charlie and Jon Rivera, the co-founders of US Comics, coming to you together for once. Charlie, happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you and to everyone listening and watching today. As always, we are brought to you by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like and or follow button and hit that comment section like it's a trash can and Peter Quill's driving in reverse. Johnny boy.
Yeah, what?
That was a very good, phony baloney driving.
I take stage directions.
That's like genuinely impressive, but you gave yourself the stage directions.
Yeah, I'm the writer, director, star, producer.
Jon, I think there's a power dynamic that needs to be addressed. I think Cousin Paul brings up a valid point that you're in my house, and I will be respected on this episode.
We'll see.
Unlike most episodes of US Comics Cast. Jon, not only are we here together today, we were here together. I was sick as a dog.
Yeah, like a little bitch.
At 10 a.m., we went out to go see Guardians of the motherfucking Galaxy Vol.3. I'm not even going to bury a lead. One of the best Marvel films in a fucking dog's age.
In a minute.
It feels like a return to form, some might argue. The cap of my personal favorite Marvel trilogy. And there was some steep competition. Jon, first reactions when you left the theater. How did you feel walking out of Guardians of the Three?
Well, with a full tum-tum of breakfast popcorn and kind of holding my breath halfway through. I'm like, I just do not want to catch whatever Charlie got. Honestly, the main thing is we kind of sat through waiting for, waiting for mid-credit scenes and post-credit scenes and all that jazz. But I was really trying to pay very close attention to the creatives in terms of the digital content, CGI, blah, 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 because really one of the things that stood out to me above and beyond even the spoiler heavy, the kind of result of the story that James Gunn was telling. Who made this visually? Because you mentioned it before, and I think it's a good turn of phrase, a return to form. And I think that it very much was a return to form in terms of the storytelling, but also the visuals. This looked like what I had kind of come to expect from the upper echelon of Marvel entries. We just got back off of that really lackluster, at least visually, the lackluster Ant-Man.
Muddy. I would I mean, even before,
hazy.
Hazy's a good word. Real quick, we are absolutely live on Facebook, on the Purple Site Twitch, and on YouTube. Leonard, Bridget, what is cooking? Joker stream. The heir apparent to Twitch. There's a constant back and forth between our favorite Twitch people.
The clown prince of Twitch, but also a little bit kick.
Saying it was phenomenal. I have a hard time arguing it. I do want to keep the first section spoiler free, and then we'll go into a nice little spoiler section.
Call it, my friend.
So a lot of this for me was, I'm of the opinion, and this might be divisive at best.
Really,
I'm of the opinion that the era of solo superhero films needs to be for a special occasion or someone we've never seen before. Blue Beetle wants to run Dolo, great. Flash needs his Batman. Flash needs Supergirl because
Flash needs more flashes.
Flash needs extra bonus flashes. For me, it's like this situation where these ensemble pieces run the risk still, right? Because I'm going to talk out of both sides of my face.
Yeah.
You can't be alone. You can't be with too many. And yet the Guardians, with their little slut John action, the Guardians were able to have these characters, and I left loving them in a different... you know me, I'm a ranker. I like to rank. I left in a different order.
So sorry in advance.
I rearranged who I loved the most. Because at this point, it's love. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy like their family because I remember like 12, 13 years ago now, it's like a lifetime, it was phase 2 when Guardians first came out. These fucking misfits that I walked into that first movie, I'd read Legendary Star-Lord. I didn't give a fuck. Like, the guy smashing Shadowcat doesn't impress me. And yet, Chris Pratt and that crew wound up immediately. That was one of my favorite movies, and it's because of James Gunn.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's a charming motherfucker.
James Gunn, who...
You don't have to like everything that comes out of his face, but Chris Pratt is just a charming dude on screen. It's kind of undeniable.
And with that level of undeniable, I think my favorite member of the Guardians is James Gunn. Like, this is clearly... Each film clearly had something to say.
I just want to clarify. You're referring to James Gunn as the creator, or James Gunn, the little flesh-colored booger, like him waddling? Did you know that was his cameo?
I didn't, but now that I do, John, I don't judge people by their looks. If James Gunn was a little booger,
you know who does? Mantis. She's
like,
burn it with fire.
Mantis is exactly the most subtle in any way. What James Gunn brought to those 3 movies, what he brought to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the holiday special and the massive wake he's leaving behind him now.
And the tweets.
And the tweets. And the one time getting fired and then rehired. The greatest rehire of all time.
And the nepotism as a motherfucker.
I mean, now, see, here's my thing. I'm the co-host of the show because of nepotism, so I'll allow it. My question to you is, with the dynamic of people love to hate shit, and yet this has mostly gone unscathed. We'll get to the scathing parts that some people claim. Are the Guardians going to lose luster should they make appearances without James Gunn? Are these characters now established enough, strongly known enough, and loved enough to be able to handle their own weight? Star-Lord shows up in Secret War, let's say, hypothetically, assuming he lives through this film. He shows up in Secret War. Other than the pop he's going to get because, fuck yeah, Star-Lord's back, is it going to feel like... let me word it to you this way. Let me revise, because you're nodding along, and I appreciate that. Is he big enough to get out of the well he was? Star-Lord entered the universe a D-level character. Yeah. Is he at least a B? Is he an A? I mean, this is... People are talking about this like the best Marvel film in years. How do you disassociate the film from its main protagonist, by all accounts?
Well,
one of its main.
You know, that's exactly what I was gonna say. This franchise, while Peter Quill might have been at the head of it, this is no spoiler for anybody who, unlike Charlie, didn't watch trailers. Like, this movie could have easily been called Rocket Raccoon and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Because he was really the forefront
Rocket's
of the story.
Wild Ride.
So yeah, no, I think at this point, literally any of the characters could rejoin jump into the fray of anything else that's happening on on a larger scale. So fucking, Star-Lord popping up in Secret Wars, it's to be expected at this point. We were just having a conversation before the show, kind of like the purpose for a seemingly meaningless post-credit scene. No, that they're just not gonna do that.
I still haven't figured out like the key elements. I love movies so much
that you
spoiler section. You made such a. You're like, what about that after credit scene? And I'm like, it's just like when Captain America's like, yo, make sure you eat your vitamins. Like, I for some reason can't get past like, no, it can't mean something. Right, so that would involve forethought.
We live in a world where like there's a shawarma post-credit scene, which like means less than dick.
Maybe that's why.
And then we have Sam Jackson showing up like, oh
yeah,
shit.
Sam Jackson is like a hired.
He's putting it together, and he still might. He's still like doing plenty more of that, but yeah, no, I think that I think the main thing is now that the collective story of the group has been told.
At least the first group.
Of the group that we've come to know. And some of them were late addition. Fucking Mantis wasn't there with us from the jump. I mean, plenty of other aspects of the story, like the shared storytelling, wasn't with us from the opening fucking credits, which is how world building works. But yeah, I think that James Gunn specifically has done enough work with each of the characters' arcs specifically, which is one of the things that he does very, very well.
Yeah.
On top of like playing a goofy song over action scenes, plugging his wife into things. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna plug my wife into shit because I want to plug my wife. That's just math, you dumb bastard.
Well, let's talk about that real
Yeah.
quick because that's spoiler free. There have been some accusations that this is a jukebox movie, is what people call it when they try to diminish it.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to throw out my opinion there. Someone says like, nah, fuck it, it's not that creative to utilize the music that way. It's basically, this was a review statement, not reflective necessarily of my statement. Someone said they might as well have grabbed, now that's what I call Music 55, and played it over key scenes.
Sure. Well, was that was that on the internet?
Of course.
That type of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
So the internet is pretty much infamous at this point for saying goofy, stupid shit, which is really only served to irritate me because that's just fucking not true.
Much like the laugh I just did. I don't know why I put so much.
No, I disagree with that sentiment. Look, when these movies fucking come out, these aren't characters that he created, James Gunn. There's somebody else's fucking toy box that he was rooting around with, and he's like, I'm gonna play with this one, I want to play with this one, I'll play with that one. The soundtrack, the visuals, again, I think this was like the only film that he was the only credited screenwriter for.
I
the
believe
script, right?
so.
And I think that probably has a lot to it because this is a dude who was tying everything up that he had done prior with a bow. So yeah, it was a little bit of a mixed bag, as Cousin Paul said. But that's because the dude had a lot to do, and I think the main thing is in terms of how you'll accept this flick, like what level of enjoyment you'll have out of this flick, whether it's mixed or whether it's sky high or whatever, or if you didn't like it. I think a lot of it will have to do with how affectionate you are now with these characters due to what James Gunn has given us prior. So I'm gonna throw you a bone right now.
Yay!
You're my brother, and I love you. I don't rank shit that I like in particular. I will usually just like liked it, didn't like it, meh. Don't really have much of an opinion. I'm nonplussed. But in this case, I'll take it back a little bit because this does have a kind of like a swashbuckler type head of state. Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is one of my most beloved fucking franchises, but I mean, I think we all know that Crystal Skull belongs at the very bottom of that list.
Easy,
but,
right?
But I think Last Crusade is head and shoulders above Temple of Doom, and naturally, Raiders of the Lost Ark is the unfucking questioned King of the Hill. I think this is one of those situations where the original is the original. The original kind of fucking gives you something on your plate that you haven't had before.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. I've maybe smelled it running past the kitchen once or twice too fast. So the original is the original. They have such a benefit of like, I've never tasted this before. It's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
That's gonna stick with you always. So there's the original, and for me, then there's this third entry. And I would honestly even put the holiday special above 2. I was not really particularly a fan of the ego.
You know, it's
the
funny.
Ego wars.
Just I am a huge fan of Guardians 2. Our rankings are identical.
Really?
Like this, like I think as a storyteller, I think the confidence James Gunn has gained, and what's interesting is post cancellation. Yes, please. Everything but Paul's. I'm saving Paul's for later. The interesting thing about James Gunn is he's become more creatively aware of who he is. Right? So, by James Gunn at this point, and you and I talked about it walking out of the theater, what I was the most almost, and I hate to do it because I was still in the afterglow of an amazing film. Do it anyway. I almost can't help but look to the future. Because this guy behind the lens of a Superman picture is my dream director. Shit, I could see everything. The action's fucking intense. The characters I love. The tragedy is deep. John,
I like the way he I like the way he plays with our shared fucking toy box.
And saying the way he shared with our toy box, so I don't want to get too far away from it. As far as people saying it's a jukebox movie, I call bullshit, because the same way he went into a toy box that frankly no one wanted and plucked out the Guardians,
he called the shot.
He opened up another chest of songs. And he, in the first movie, was like, here's shit from the 70s Charlie doesn't give a fuck about. I'm going to pluck in. And that probably was the most jukeboxy. The second film, same sort of accusation, but it's 80s, so I have more familiarity. So there's more songs. John, by this film, the music to me, first mostly, the amazing thing he did is only about half of the soundtrack is for the audience. The rest of the soundtrack is songs that they're playing
in movie.
And instead of, and I forget what that's called, but instead of like in Guardians 2, where the big action, pretty much for every action sequence, someone hit play, this film, the characters were playing music because they felt a certain way, and music can heal. So there's an amazing scene where Rocket's listening to a song very early in the film, and it's because he's thinking about this life he despises to some degree, despite being a Guardian, despite having this newfound family. Love doesn't necessarily heal wounds. It helps you kind of get beyond them, but it doesn't heal your soul. What I loved about some of the music
just really
selections,
quick to stop you a little bit, because I know that I can go off. I think that, like, music in particular, music is not one of the things where you hear a song, you're like, that was dope, great, and then you just don't fucking listen to it again. What music is, what songs are specifically, are photographs.
Yes.
Right? Like, so...
Oh, that's a beautiful... Like, did you read that somewhere? If not, let's get that printed on a poster for some goofy fucking broad.
Yeah. Hey, Bridget. I 100% also very much enjoy, love even, the music from the entire Guardians franchise. Some of it I wasn't familiar with before, and whoever made that dumb jukebox comment, there is absolutely original music in the franchise.
Yeah.
But like you were mentioning before, the music it's integral to the fucking plot.
It's so another character.
They're not just exactly right. They're not just plugging in by day. I mean, James. We're on a first name basis.
I get it.
They music is part of the fucking storyline. So not only is it integral that it's a quote unquote jukebox while you're sitting there, fucking second is it's awesome. It's outstanding. The music is always appropriate. It's not as if they're playing fucking Bach in the middle of a shootout. But also, like,
that'd be kind of tits.
Shut up, bro. Like, are we never gonna make this USComics movie?
Shit.
It's also always appropriate, and it's also important to the point where you're like, oh fuck, what he's listening to or she's listening to here or there or whatever the case might be, it's all relevant. So dumb comment, and I completely disagree with that.
You understand why I hate
jukebox stuff. First of all, if it was a jukebox fucking show, then they would be playing the greatest band of all time, Mouse Rat. Every time Star-Lord
t-shirts.
I can't help
make
it.
my heart sing.
I just can't help
Let's
it.
go to the spoiler section. For those of you that do not want to be spoiled, first and first, mostly, why didn't you see it opening weekend? That's a silly nanny move.
This is on you.
You should know better, but just hit mute for about 10 minutes, and we'll be back with some more shit that on the second half we're probably going to spoil the fuck out of. Spoiler warning is in effect! John!
Word.
Holy shit. Everyone dies. Thanos comes back. Tony Stark comes back. And Spider-Man is now played by a deaf-mute horse.
Not even, and this was one of those moments where I literally almost stood up and applauded. Not even the big bad died.
Just amazing.
Fucking RoboCop without his helmet didn't even die. Where truly, Charlie, I was so impressed with the storytelling. Like, you don't have to have a goddamn fucking free-for-all and take all the chess pieces off the board in order to win. And I gotta tell you this.
Shit.
As a person who quite enjoys a good game of chess, the most demoralizing loss is when you're like, I still have everybody in the fucking... I can do almost anything except beat this son of a bitch. They beat me straight up. That is the best type of victory. When you can walk away and be like, I just fucking won.
What were your... I avoided all the trailers. What were the odds on a Guardian dying?
Well,
Gamora, actor, said, nah, I'm good. Fucking Batista.
Let's go through it statistically. Gamora was automatically almost bulletproof.
Because they already killed her
They
once.
killed her once already. You don't kill somebody.
She just comes back again and be like, another time manipulation,
like,
motherfucker.
I'm alive. Bang. Nope, not anymore. He dead. He dead now.
Fool
Green blood
you. She
everywhere.
was supposed to die in 2. He wanted to kill her off in 2. And then the studio was like, maybe the fact that she brings in $1 billion every time.
I read that fucking...
I almost bit your finger to be funny. How fucking weird would that have been?
Not funny at all, dude. They plan to kill Jesse Pinkman in second season. I wish
that would have been a much better show.
And somebody else was also supposed to die like right quick, instead of not at all. But go on with your.
So Gamora said like, "Hey, bye. This is gonna be my last one. No, thank you." Pretty much everyone who got painted for most of their mourning.
Yeah, there was
Batista.
Fuck this noise.
Batista was like, you know what? I say it. He had the most beautiful quote. I'm gonna paraphrase that.
He's not a wrestler anymore. He's Dave Batista.
He literally said, he says like a prayer of gratitude to Batista every day because it allowed him to
the wrestling character.
To Drax. He says a prayer to Drax because it allowed him now this kind of second half of his career. It was the first thing through the door that got him opportunity.
Give him props because he came right out of the box talking all kinds of shit about his acting chops.
Yeah.
And I was probably the very first one who wasn't in close proximity of getting his ass beat by the guy. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, what have you done? Like, he was throwing down the gauntlet. Like, I'm not gonna work with this fucking hack. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna work with Pacino. I'm gonna work with De Niro. But I'll be frank. Like, I think that's absolutely the case.
Yeah. Well,
he is the best actor to come out of the square.
So he said he doesn't feel like doing roles where he has to whip off that shirt anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And he says that Drax just isn't a complex enough character.
Yeah.
To justify the kind of time suck.
He's a fun. He's a fun.
He's a very fun character.
You need a character like that in an ensemble.
Yeah.
Story.
And again, he's played him like 7 times or something. It's plenty. And then Karen, how do you say your name? Karen Gillian? Sure. Baldy Mick used to be bald, but now has full hair, and like her face is round, but everything else is rail skinny. She also said like, "Fuck this pink bullshit." I'm good. So in my head, I was like, "What a great! If your toy's broken, you pretend it died in battle."
Right. You're like, you didn't fire me. I quit.
I thought, without seeing trailers, I thought there was a 100% chance that a Guardian would die.
But who did you think was going to die, though?
I assume Drax, because Drax would do like a big heroic moment, and like you'd be able to like eviscerate him.
And he'd be somewhat disposable.
Yeah,
he'd be like a Rambo, expendable.
Yeah, well, because just like Gamora,
like you would be sad,
can't kill Groot again. We're already on Groot 2.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and this isn't really spoilery, but we had a fucking character arc for Groot 2. Groot 2 we've seen as a baby, a young teen, teen.
We had a character arc for the audience.
Holy fuck! Oh my god!
Please,
so I don't know if any of you that have seen the movie realize this. Cousin Paul, Joker Stream, I know for a fact you guys have seen it.
Paul, we're gonna touch on your thing because you got a big comment.
Yeah, that we're probably gonna double back for the talk back
for sure.
Fucking at the end, Gamora finally understands Groot, and they do another scene, and then they're all like, "Love you guys," and Groot goes, "I love you guys." He was talking to. We finally understood him. He wasn't speaking English. He just said, if we weren't the ones watching that film, nerds who didn't love the Guardians films, they heard "I am Groot." Yeah. We fucking understand Groot now.
Groot is.
I started crying again when I heard that. No, Joker Stream. He didn't speak English. Much, he still just said, "I'm Groot." You understood him because you've been with him now.
Let me
please translate.
Analogize it.
Analogicals.
So, you guys remember the Polar Express, where like Homeboy is fucking shaking the jingle bell for all it's worth? He's like, "This fucking bullshit is broken. I can't hear dick." The audience actually couldn't hear it. The parents couldn't hear it. The adults. Only the little girl could quite hear it. So the way that James Gunn explained it in the technical capacity was, my man puts out spores?
Yeah.
In essence, like if you're in this proximity to Groot in whatever form that he might be going on with, even if he's just a little fucking head running around with spider legs, which immediately threw me back to fucking It and Pennywise. I'm like, oh, I just shit myself. you breathe in these fucking spores, which in effect make you closer to anyone who's cleaned up a musty basement knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, fuck, man, I am one with this basement right now. So that's the reason why, because in essence they were a little bit Groot. So
We are Groot.
He hasn't just been saying I am Groot. That's just what almost like the translation we our ears turned it into. He's been talking and talking and talking. Obviously, everyone seems to know that.
The audience
The
was
spores
affected.
of it all was affected the same way Gamora was, who, if we remember, was around him just a little bit less than everybody else because of that slight inconvenience of her father fucking murdering her off of Magic Mountain.
With
So-
just the most like, that's the only
like-
part of that I take like a issue with, umbrage with,
Sure.
is that like her death scene is like no, and she's just hucked off a fucking mount, which is just fucking
Not
crazy.
James Gunn's decision either.
See, now Joker stream brings up a good point. It is a learnable language, but if not,
Sure. Well,
Groot's gonna hook you up.
but again, Thor is somewhat unique
In that he
that
sucks?
capacity. I'll kill you, and you ain't coming back like fucking Gamora.
Challenge accepted.
Thor's a god, right? So Thor speaks every language on Earth. Why wouldn't he speak every fucking language in the known galaxy? Groot's species being one of them, I have no problem with Thor understanding. Honestly, I kind of took it with it being such a Han Solo mark. I'm like, well, this is like fucking understanding Wookiee.
Yeah.
Really, for a lot of
Also gives out spores,
Or-
but different type.
when you eat, all you eat is fucking Ewoks, bro. You gotta let it go.
He
Somehow.
walks in porks. Like, what's
Mhm.
adorable? I
Delicious.
want that. He's the anti-you.
It was more. It was more so kind of like the R2D2 beat bops of it all. Like some people got it, some people didn't. I pretty much.
Me or
This-
Gamora, Joker
This is
stream.
gonna be the one, Joker. This will be the one. I really dug it, man. Like
I loved it.
I really dug it. You know, my Charlie rankings are properly set now because again, James Gunn is walking away from it. Now you had asked a question prior
Yes.
about like, well, what's gonna happen for them? It's not gonna be a for them all. So where in essence where we left them was Gamora is running with the Ravagers.
And
We-
so happy. Another
and,
beautiful
like,
ending. She
and
has her.
totally
She
happy.
found her space family.
Well, basically, what happened was she went through Thanos' murder college, had kind of discovered herself backpacking through Europe with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now she's fucking got that executive level position that she was well recruited
It's just
for
crazy when
with the
the
Ravagers.
when they
which
all
is-
like hug her.
it's so appropriate that character living that life. Now, the other thing is, it justifies us as audience members to never see her again.
Yeah,
The fucking
she's
galaxy
happy in space.
is a very, very big place. We don't worry about what Santa's up to in September, and that's kind of going to be the
Yeah,
case.
and I don't need, like, as much as those characters are like fun cameos. I don't need any of the,
The
Ravagers.
Ravagers?
I'm
I
good.
mean-
I got a space team.
Fucking Sylvester Stallone is always going to get a pop from me, but let's run down the line. So who else?
So
was
then we have-
left off with it. We covered Peter.
Yeah, in Nowhere we have
Mhm.
we have Robo Girl. I've just her name just left me. Gamora's sister.
Nebula.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nebula and Drax are fixing Nowhere, but that shit's like a school planet head now.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're turning it into to what they never had.
Right.
What and also
it's
talk
a
about making me want to
space
cry.
Orphanage.
Literally, the girl who never had a father or a real family, and the guy who had his daughter stolen from
And
him,
wife, yeah.
are now raising kids together and
Right.
making like a community that can. Another perfect ending. You never need to take them out of retirement. That's a
Well,
disservice to the story they told.
But that's a job that you don't retire from anyway.
correct.
So they're doing what's gonna obviously make them happy. To me, like the biggest push of it all would be Rocket and the version 2.0 of the Guardians. We have
Rocket.
obviously Groot. We have Cosmo, who is just a
What a
good
good
dog,
dog.
man. You are a good dog.
Just the best doggy. Who's it? Jameson's birthday is tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure him and Cosmo get along great. I'm just saying. She's a little old for him.
She'll probably tucker him out too, but like,
Yeah.
you know, that's all right.
God willing, am I right?
Who else do we have? We have
Adam Warlock,
We've got Adam Warlock,
who we'll
who's
talk more about
a little
in the
bit
talk back.
of a little bit of a goofball. But like kind of taking that fucking role. We've
And then I
got
forget the new girl's name. She's important though.
the little girl.
The little girl
Yeah,
was a
the
Captain
little
Marvel.
blonde.
She was one of the many characters that have
She's-
used that moniker.
She's another result of the fucking High Evolutionary, aka Black RoboCop. Obviously, again, Rocket, and then the brother.
yes, Finhead.
What's his name? Yeah.
Finhead McGillicuddy.
Which is like that's a
You
fun team.
control the arrow with your heart. That might be a legitimate.
Who
ghost
threw this
that
at me?
That might be a legitimate ghost.
Well,
that
but,
showed up.
and here's the thing, and then we'll come back to this obviously. For me, this was one of those things. This was like a movie length version of a finale episode of a show that
Fuck
you
yeah.
really liked. So James Gunn had the unenviable task of throwing in and peppering in certain things like, oh, remember this, remember that. You had characters like that go all the way back from the opening scenes of one. You had the dealer that he tried to sell his shit to in the opening. You had fucking Howard the Duck shows back up.
Just vacationing in on nowhere.
Like, basically, what he did was he said, "Hey, remember why you love this? Remember why you love that?" Which is which is very, very important because this was the finale trilogy of an overall story. Now, Joker had mentioned it before. James Gunn almost very much was completely removed from it. He was almost canceled out of this.
He almost was canceled from his career
in total project, and that would have been like fucking like the second episode. Gross.
Yes.
Would have been.
Normally I mute that.
Would have been like the second entry into the new Star Wars trilogy. We're like, why the fuck doesn't that make sense? Oh, because the second voice that came in just changed it willy-nilly. And honestly, if somebody comes in and you say, look, you're getting a trilogy to tell a story's worth of fucking story, then you give it to them. You don't fucking hook a left at Albuquerque and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of nowhere and you're lost. So that's the reason why I like all that stuff that was peppered in.
Guardians 3 would have originally started with Thor still with them. Because it was supposed to be reverse order before his cancellation.
Thor is so tough because Thor is one of those characters where if you take all the characters all these characters you like and Thor,
well,
it's about Thor.
My understanding was like he would have been in the opening scene and they would have like left him on a planet. Like it would have been even less screen time than they shared. In Thor: Love and.
It would to me it wouldn't have made the movie better.
No, I just think it's funny that so much changed that even that little aspect changed. I just want to wind down the topic a bit to just what I
final thoughts.
My final thought on it ultimately is I was absolutely, despite liking almost every superhero thing that's come out to a varying degree, because ultimately my scale at its root core, at its most basic feature is yay or nay. Am I better off having seen Ant-Man than not see it? Am I better off seeing Love and Thunder than not seeing it? Yes, given like Love and Thunder was like barely. Like that barely was like, well, I got to see Jane Foster's Thor, that's cool. That movie like did not work for me.
It was it was bad.
But my point is
it was bad.
I almost always want it, but I was starting to get you get tired. It gets monotonous almost. Yeah. This refilled the gas tank. Like I'm now so much more excited for Flash and for Blue Beetle.
Oh, you mean like
for
the genre?
The genre, I was not. Wow. Again, I never would have left it, but it became this thing where it's like, all right, another one. You know what? The only one that's still the only one that still has that energy about it is like Aquaman 2, because it's not a character I care about. I didn't like the first one, so that's gonna be one that's like when I go to the theater, it's gonna be like begrudgingly. Everything else, I'm gonna be wearing the T-shirt and the underoos. Right. My question to you though, is. Is the machine that is Marvel? Yeah. Are they going to look at this critical reception? Because again, there's some mixage because some people are fucking stupid. Right. But is there a chance that this combined with Marvel slowing down, that they're going to say like, no, we almost need auteur filmmaking again? If we have to roll the dice, there's a chance we're going to get like Taika getting his vision and no one fucking liking it.
Yeah.
Including, by the way,
Like Love and Thunder.
Hemsworth just betraying him by being like, next Thor needs to be serious. Bitch, we tried you serious. That movie didn't work either, fuckface. So don't blame Taika for your problems. With that being said, I'm always under the thing, like, let artists be artists. Let these directors have... And you brought up an amazing point, and then I will finally pass it over to you. But you said there's kind of like a Marvel Bible. Stuff has to fit in with these rules. These are kind of the color palettes. And some stuff gets weird, like James Gunn was able to make a whole planet made out of flesh. So, but it still felt Marvel movie-ish. This was just...
Can you imagine how it felt?
Like, imagine how it smelled? This was the best-looking Marvel film in a dog's age. Right. This was the best-sounding Marvel film. This was the most adult. The first fuck dropped in a Marvel film. Is this going to allow Marvel to return to form? Is this going to force Marvel to be ballsier and admit that they need to, even for someone like me who supported everything they've done in these last phase plus, I even was being like, oh God, another Marvel. Will they use this to get back to the fucking tippy top, knowing across the fucking way, once this writer's strike is done, James Gunn is going to give a fucking maximum effort run at all of DC and start with Big Blue?
Well, the short
complex
answer,
question. I'm sorry.
The short answer to that is going to be no. Because, but nothing for nothing creative wise. I think it's a little bit it's a little bit pie in the sky to think like, oh well, they're handing the reins of this major franchise to an auteur, director and writer because their work is so no. When these big houses do, like, I'm not talking about just Marvel, I'm talking about DC and whomever the fuck.
Yeah.
They do it because that director has cachet value, right? They're coming off of something else.
Ew, is it weird that I didn't realize that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not weird,
Naive
but like
me.
a little
naive.
That's your naivete.
So
They're doing it because it's going to end up with a bigger box office. Now, what's interesting is that considering and knowing that James Gunn was out the fucking door, we talked about it before. They were like, well, fuck it. Like, what? Fine. Like, they making this movie, not because they don't want to make money, but because the future of the franchise is not depending on how much money that it makes. The fact that it's so well received and well regarded is great. That's the reason why they were so hands off with him. Now, I will say this. As much as I did very much like this movie, and my ranking is my ranking, I said what I said. The movie's not fucking perfect, right?
Disagree.
It's some. Well, that's you're entitled to be wrong. It's fine. It's too long. You could easily shave off 20 minutes off of the fucker. It was a little bit indulgent with the Nepo casting. I mean, fucking, I think Mal Reynolds got as much, if not more, fucking FaceTime as like actual important as the villain. Let's say. So again, it wasn't perfect. It was a little bit meandering in times. We spent far more time in fucking Flesh Factory, than we probably should have. I prefer
calling it Flesh Jail.
I know a couple of those bros.
Lucky ladies.
So again, it wasn't perfect for me. However, it's ultimately going to be, to get back to the point, it's ultimately going to be about the box office, in terms of like, look, this is what I wanted to say.
Almost put your finger again. What's wrong with me?
Can't help myself. James Gunn came out and says like, look guys, Marvel and DC don't look at it as Marvel versus DC, to the point where, and I think Joker, did you maybe mention this? That they were, or maybe even Paul, that they're like, they've had conversations like, fuck man, let's do a crossover type of thing. And if these are comic book movies at their heart, it's very easy to forget this. The comics have had numerous crossovers in the past. It's not at all out of the realm of reason. Like, it very well may happen, especially if the quote-unquote fatigue is real. I don't think that it's real. I think franchises can have fatigue, because to say something is a comic book movie can mean a war movie, a fucking superhero movie, a space movie. Look, galactic heroes are very different than the Titan flights, so to speak. So, but I very much enjoyed the flick. I think most people who like this genre will also. Not perfect, but definitely a dope flick.
I think the bottom line, ultimately, is if you go to the movie theater, which you should, and you sit down to enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and if you leave feeling nothing at all, then you're a goddamn liar. Because, much like George Toy Boy Lucas, because Han
shot first, baby. I salute.
It's weird to do this together. Oh, that was so much.
I'm dead now. I'm dead now. Holy, I salute.
Oh,
Delicious.
First of all, I think Joker Stream wrote my ideal crossover film. Just Carol Danvers and Lex smashing.
That Offspring, problematic. Problematic at best. So yeah, per the episode description, we have been to the highest of the high, up in the cosmos, flying around. And sometimes you gotta, in order to appreciate the top of the mountain, you gotta crawl around at the base. So bringing it back down to earth, down, down, down. But also still very much large-scale stakes.
Yes.
No stakes though, because there's got to be some kind of camel.
Maybe a couple steaks.
Camel cow person running
steak
around.
boy.
Sweet Tooth, season 2 has dropped in its totality over on the Flicks of Net. Now, we did talk about Sweet Tooth in its comic book form because we are very much at the forefront of what goes on in the 4-color funny books. But we also talked about Sweet Tooth season 1 when it first dropped. Sweet Tooth is one of those funny little shows, and I'm gonna say it's a little show not because of its scope, not because of its production value, not because of anything else, but the fact that it is not it is not one of those. It's not a water cooler show. Right?
Yeah,
it's not the type of show that's coming off of this huge, household name IP. It's one of those almost like guilty little secrets, and I'm not saying guilty in the sense of like the content is not something that almost anybody would enjoy, because it very much is. Also, it's more so one of those things where I like when a band gets popular, I like their early stuff. I like them before they got too popular. Sweet Tooth is not like that. Everyone should be fucking talking about Sweet Tooth because it's just readily available. Here it is.
What do they call it? Like a premiere television? What's it called when it's like a more expensive?
That
HBO calls it a lot.
It's the same price per month, so
yeah.
I'll go fuck either way. But yeah, from even if chat wants to jump in, I honestly don't even know how many people watch or are watching Sweet Tooth, are aware of it, know that season 2 has dropped, because it was one of those kind of like pocket productions with the pandemic and all that stuff. Just dynamite. If anyone's unfamiliar with it,
I didn't realize that it was a pandemic production.
It might be.
It must have been.
In essence, this is like an apocalyptic type of story, and your mother. But it has the unique spin of it where while all us normies are going through the shit, there is now an influx of little people who are Joker. You probably needed to sleep. That was the problem. Doing these all fucking night streams. But you have hybrids, right? And what they are, they're half human, half fill in the blank animal. Sweet Tooth being Gus, the lead character being half human, half deer. So that means he'll steal your strawberries, but also as well as completely stop dead in your headlights if you're driving straight at him at 2 a.m. I gotta say this, Charlie. I did complete season 2 actually like 1.5 times. I really like season 2, more to the point. We know that we're getting season 3 because they filmed 2 and 3 back to back, belly to
it's
belly.
Such a relief to me because so many of the special effects are practical with this writer strike.
Yeah.
I'm so worried I won't get content.
Also, as well as they're largely youth characters.
Yeah.
And these motherfuckers are taller than me now.
All
they
I
started
need
as like amoeba.
All I need is Gus to have like fucking pimples and a hey guys, like no, go eat a bag of grass there, Gus.
Gus is bigger than Big Man. He's
exactly.
Like, sup, little bitch,
sucker. Like also took on the affectations of like a racist stereotype of Big Man.
Yeah, Bridget, isn't that awesome?
What's interesting, and Bridget thrown out there, Bridget right at the top said she loved the series.
Nice.
You know what I realized this week while fully embracing Sweet Tooth Season 2 is obviously Netflix is incredibly bingeable. Anyone who knew about it watched it all because anyone who likes Sweet Tooth the comic, and even those that just know because of the show, it is such good shit. That you almost can't help but be like, you almost treat it like Gus would treat like a fucking, pile of chocolate. You're just shoving it in your gullet because, and this was my recurring thought while watching it. And I'll bury the lead. I loved it.
Yeah,
I think this is one of the best years for entertainment in a very long time.
Yeah.
I think when one of the worst shows, one of the worst products to come out of this year so far has been Mandalorian Season 3, which is like a season I enjoyed still. But if you look at like the new John Wick film, like all the shit that's come out the last few months, just in the last 3 or 4 months has been incredible. I think for me, Sweet Tooth sits there, and I think what's great is the people who do watch fucking love it. I don't think Bridget or I are alone. By being like, not only do I fucking love it, not only do I love it. I didn't want to speak for you.
Son of a bitch.
But it's like, I feel like it's one of those things that if it resonates with you a little, resonates with you a lot.
Well, here's my take on it, and this goes back all the way to when I discovered it on the comic.
You discovered the comic and the show. I didn't know.
And what it does, like imagine that pitch meeting, like that elevator pitch, like we refer to it often. It is one of those things where they say, okay, so it's an apocalypse, and it's so easy for us because of the content that we have gotten thus far. Between like the super successful versions and the like, we've gotten fucking Walking Dead, but we've also gotten Y the Last Man, which was not given its share. Up. Yeah, they really fucked up an opportunity there. But that being said, our mind is like, got it. Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page.
Building's
now.
Overgrown. Gotcha.
But also
check.
as well as there's half animal kids running around, and now it has gotten its own footprint, right? In that space. So we're operating in the familiar, and now you have a spin on the take, which is going to be very interesting to the point where, in a lot of these other examples, you're like, I get it. I know where this is going. Gotcha. White hat wins, black hat loses. They get their comeuppance. Have a nice day, Finn. And this is one of those shows where it's really not the case whatsoever. Reading the comic, I felt the way. Watching the show, I know that people who were not familiar with the comic feel that way. Like, fuck if I know what's going to happen. You've got characters who you're like, nope, that's a bad person. That's a bad guy. And then you're like, oh, nope, that's very much as well a hero. And the production you mentioned before, the production value is high. The effects are practical. It looks very good. It
looks awesome. Looks like a fairy tale. Because even the effects that maybe wouldn't work for, like, if you just showed certain scenes. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Alligator Kid. If you look at certain scenes, you might be like, that's a little cheesy. Because by virtue of something being practical, or Turtle Boy, we brought up like Turtle Boy's sweater doesn't make a fucking lick of sense. However,
you didn't see Michelangelo running around with a cardigan. Yeah.
However, for me it helps the story because this is very much to me. This is, I don't know how you felt about them growing up. Were you as a little kid or even as an adult, were you like into fairy tales at all? Because that whole era of Disney missed me. By the time like I was introduced to anything, I was like, you were able to hand me the fucking VHS with the Transformers movie, and I'm like, fuck Bambi and her mom.
You're welcome.
Optimus, died. Like, what the fuck? I had different reasons to cry at the movies. This for me, I think Sweet Tooth is my favorite fairy tale because it has all of the kind of necessary bullet points of a fairy tale.
I didn't make that connection whatsoever.
Really? Oh, interesting.
I think you're very right about that. I mean, anytime you have animal centric stories, you're gonna have my attention because humans are just shitty to animals. Yeah, I didn't really make the connection.
The kid actor who plays Gus,
Yeah.
back before we got 40 Pinocchios
That
in a
little
row,
cherub.
he was like, oh, if they do a Pinocchio, this should be Pinocchio. Like, he has that
the
sort
kid.
of, like,
Yeah,
the way he says, like, papa and mom, like, the way he speaks is so...
Yeah, he looks like he's fucking 2 seconds away from running away from a witch.
Exactly. There's something about that resonates so much with me. However, and I don't want to steal your topic, but it was something I was desperate to ask you about. Is Sweet Tooth a perfect example of a show that would be better served not bingeable? If this was on ABC, this would be the fucking most talked about shit ever.
Well, it's a good question, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna hit that no button like fucking Grogu yes again.
I need to hit a no. Oh, fucking it could be Vader. No.
No. I think the streaming aspect of it helps it because Sweet Tooth is one of those shows where it's very easy to be in the mood for it, but you do have to be in the mood for it. So the other thing is and you know what? Again, Joker said he fell asleep to it the other day. It's not necessarily a high octane type of story. It's a slow burn, maybe the proper term for it. But it does burn, right? So once you get invested, like, fuck, I gotta watch this next episode and what's gonna happen, blah blah. How's my man get that beard so just fucking thick and lush, just combed out real nice?
Look at he has no chin.
Goofy brother.
That has to be. He has to have no chin.
But he's used to carrying his
committed
brother
that time
all the time. So
I know what that's like.
Do you? You're about to find out. Yeah, no. So the fact that you can ingest as much of it as you want, you don't have to take the cut of pie that whatever network says. No, this is as much Sweet Tooth as you need right now. But you're still probably not going to binge the whole fucking thing in one sitting because it's dense.
It is dense.
There's a lot going on.
You know,
to its compliment.
Because a new friend Bridget over on Facebook
on the Book of Face
wants to bring her husband into it, and I think what's interesting about Sweet Tooth, you almost need the first 2 episodes because as magic as the first episode is, because I had read the books, the graphics, right? It came out in volumes. Because I knew where it was going. I was patient. I could wait for Big Man. Yeah. I got time.
This is one of those shows that if you like it and you're like, hey, watch this, and then as it's going on, they're watching the screen and you're like, you're gonna like this part.
Well, what was amazing?
Wasn't that great? Like, it's just one of those things you want to share.
Well,
you know?
What was amazing is you came out to the island a few days ago, and then I wasn't feeling well because I went into the office, so I didn't feel well. So we kind of let Mom run the television, and she had just begun Sweet Tooth. I guess you threw it on for her a few nights ago. So I was able to kind of like plug myself right in to get some season 2 stuff. Where I'm like,
better? Ain't that better? What you watching?
Oh, it's
not watching the terrible news. Ain't that better? The Sergeant Finesse is joining the stream. What is up, Sarge?
See, Sarge, I feel like would if Sarge hasn't already gotten into Sweet Tooth, Sarge is he's the sort of like dog lover where I'm positive he would project so much of that love and affection he has for animals onto the show. So like, first of all,
I got one better for you.
Oh shit.
Sarge is one of those cats where any type of an apocalyptic type situation, whether there's like half deer people running around or there's zombies or Russia and Cuba have joined forces to attack us. Sarge is like, yo, I got this shit on lock. This is what we're going to do. Like, sometimes that's the biggest fun aspect of shows like this is to insert yourself into those situations and say, yeah, I would help. You know, I'm not going to help the fucking Bat Kid because guano stinks. It gets everywhere. Sarge, this is the type of show you'll definitely like. Again, think of Walking Dead, but fucking take away the zombies and just insert half non-kosher kids, and you'll have the gist of it.
Well, what about Sarge's Sweet Tooth, X-Man, Sarge's kid? Yeah. Is this show too...
X-Man is not a hybrid. His name's Xavier. We just call him X-Man as a nickname, bro.
He's definitely a mutant, though.
Oh no, he's got certain abilities.
Yeah, he's just very good at
normal stuff. Man. You know, that's a valid. That's a valid point.
Is this show too intense, or does the fairy tale aspect of it? Because for me, if like you're allowed to watch Bambi, which I think should be like 13 plus, This I don't think is
Yeah.
anything more traumatic than Bambi would have been. But I saw Bambi when I was like 26, and I was like, "Fuck that!
like,
Like, why are you in the way, you bitch?" So the opposite. I was just thinking,
Xavier is he's less a kid as he is just a little dude
because of the X Factor.
Because of the X Factor.
Yeah.
No, Xavier is kind of like a sophisticated kid, but the fact of the matter is, kids nowadays. Sorry, my fucking oldness coming out. My geezeritis flaring up. Kids are more sophisticated.
But also, I just realized X-Men saw Guardians 3.
Oh, yeah,
and if you get through Guardians 3 and you're able to sleep, at almost 40, I was
Xavier,
like, John, come in here.
Xavier watched his old man tearing up. He's like, don't be a bitch, Dad. You got to be on stream in 5 minutes.
And then he said, schnick, schnick, and he fucking fought a sentinel.
He's like, I don't want to take this out of the game in Fortnite later. No. Truth be told, kids are just much more sophisticated than certainly like a little he bitch like you, but even like a tough guy like me, in our time were like they've been exposed to some of these stories. You're like, look, man, fair is a fucking commodity. Don't expect it. If you see fairness in the world, you come across it. It's like finding a fucking truffle in the woods, like without even trying. Like, shit, this is a real rarity to be appreciated. And you know what's funny? What's really funny to me is that it's actually a very good segue. Because,
you're welcome. I am useful.
So Gus, again, a little bit of spoiler. Gus was the equivalent of being homeschooled to the other hybrids that are running around in the world who went to public school, right? I went to private school myself, so I'm the Gus in that circumstance.
You went to Catholic school; it's different.
I mean, yeah, it's
horror.
It's a private school for poor kids. I went to Catholic school, so I know my purse. But like in the meantime, the PSS across the street, they were fucking knocking kids down the steps, ripping off Lee patches on their jeans because Lee jeans were the shit, son. So Gus had a different experience than these other hybrid kids, which kind of makes him a little bit babe in the woods.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, big man, take care of me. And the monkey girl's like, you're a little bitch, son. Get your shit together.
What about Pink Girl, who keeps giving him looks like, you little...
Oh, man.
You're never, ever,
My little swine chickadee, she is like, yo.
She's like
never uncurling this tail, acting like a little punk.
She has like a switchblade and a cigarette. I'm like, damn, fucking Pink Girl.
She doesn't fuck around. But ultimately, again, what it boils down to, this is one of those type of stories that really hold a mirror up to the audience. We're like, look, in this type of a situation, what would you do?
Yeah,
right?
Message.
When, exactly right. And we talk about it all the time. If you're going to tell a story, especially one that has these out of this world parameters, like crazy circumstances that maybe won't come across in our lifetime, we're probably never going to have hybrid fucking kids running around through the woods and having to trade shit in the open market. Like, if you have an extra pair of shoelaces, you are well to do, like that type of a situation. What's it gonna mean to you? You know, we referenced it before. Big man, he's literally the ex-football player dude that's kind of helping Gus get through life. He was put in a terrible situation. The fucking scientist and his wife, they were put in terrible situations. The show holds a mirror up to the audience and says, okay, you want to have judgments, you want to pick and choose sides, fine. But in this circumstance, what would you do? More so to the fact where, when you're like, what if I was Captain America? What if I was Wolverine?
Yeah.
Like, those conversations don't really happen as much, rather than just sitting back and watching shit unfurl because it's fun and it's interesting and action.
What I learned about myself, and I suspect I always knew it, was that like each step of the way, I'm like, all right, for almost everyone else, but for like John and Mom, it's like sometimes you gotta kill a little pig girl.
He's saying this now, but that's only because I didn't fuck up of a duo in Fortnite and cost him the #1 victory. Because if that happens, he'd be like, yo, here he is. He's got a rat tail sticking out of his ass.
It's
Come
like
and get him.
crudely taped to you. It's like, it's literally a rat tail. It's like super short.
He's just
like, nah, he's a hybrid.
I feel the tag sticking to his ass. I'm like, oh,
be like,
come and get him. Get him the fuck out of here.
All the hybrids are all 10 or younger. Be like, yeah, he's 8.
No, he's
8.
He's got that Benjamin Button disease. Get him the fuck out of here. I need my victory royale. But the truth of the matter is, whether you're a hybrid or not, you still gotta pay them bills. So, Charlie, why don't you do us all a favor and tell the good people watching and listening how we go about the business end of USComics.
Well, here's the good news, because we're not like other pods who sell for some random brand that's willing to pay, because no. Today we are once again brought to you by one of our absolute favorite bands, Bad Mary. You heard them during the intro. You're going to hear them again at the end of the show. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, you can follow them over at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/Bad Mary Band. You can stay up to date at badmary.com for merch and upcoming performances, including their very soon tour of Japan. But my favorite part is their entire discography is available across all music streaming services.
Word up. And that really only leaves the question, where we drop it? And it says, as always, the answer is with Sergeant Finesse. You can find him currently gaming still, though the days are numbered, as a gaming partner on Facebook. There's crazy shit happening over there. He's spending more and more time over on Kick.com, the newest streaming platform. Multiple streams every day. Outstanding video game content. Supporter games, co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. And while you're at it, also as well as check out my man Joker's _stream. He's spending most of his time still on Twitch, but also as well as he's kind of like testing the waters over on Kick.com. Look, you know, when our boys are playing, do yourself a favor, check them out. GG's.
Word. And if you want to get your grubby little hands on something for absolutely free, all you have to do is follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/USComicsHQ. You go ahead and you follow us on there. It's free.
Yeah,
just
do it anyway. It's fine.
Then you take a picture, a screenshot of that, a little bit of proof. You Instagram us. You tag us with that proof, and you are entered to win a signed Clerks mini poster signed by the one and only Kevin Smith. Also, as well as if you check out any of my social medias, you have a chance of winning a Proton Pack and all sorts of shit going on all over the multiverse. But John,
if I may hit that pause button.
Yes.
Go over and spend a little bit of time on any of the USComics social fucking platforms. This Punham and his Ecto Li, that's right, my man, put together his very own Ecto 1 like the true Ghostbuster that he is, because he just loves giving back to the community. Ghostbusters Day is coming up in NYC in front of the actual Ghostbusters firehouse that they shot the outside practicals for in both movies.
All three
and
movies.
soon to
And four
be
movies. All four
soon
movies.
to be yet another movie. Get Charle and the Ecto Li there. I'm gonna personally post a link where you can vote Charlie's Ecto 1 as one of your absolute favorites. Don't vote for any of the other ones because they're actually feuding, which is not a cool Ghostbuster shit to do. But vote for my boy. Get him over there to New York representing. Do it. Do it now.
It's true. Just one more pause. If you fell in love with one of us, just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score. John, let's jump elsewhere in the multiverse.
Prostituting yourself?
A little bit. It's going to be a cold winter sooner than I'm ready for.
Woo!
No, it's not fucking cold though, bro. My Disney membership. Because just when I think I have too much shit to be entertained by.
Who's Disney membership?
We can talk about HBO in a minute if you want. We can talk about.
Look, when we're talking about
We're a household.
When we're talking about
We're a
an HBO
household.
show,
What
then
you,
we can.
what you have, I have, bitch. What I have, you
You
have.
keep on reminding me of that.
That's true. That's true. Especially on some of those dates you go on. I'm like, this girl's 7 feet tall and just a. I'm at the restaurant like, hello.
What are you wearing? Fahrenheit?
I would need it because I'd get myself a fucking kyber crystal, animated however I'd want, and I would be in Visions 2 on Disney Plus. John, Visions 2, more fucking Star Wars than I was even ready for. Bridget, giving some love to the Ecto Li. Bridget, the Ecto Li, sending that love right back.
Bridget knows. Just ask Bridget. She'll tell you all about it.
Honestly, just ask her
Yeah,
everything. I feel like Bridget understands
She's
the
like,
keys to
You
the
got a
multiverse.
pencil? You got some paper? Write this down. I'm not going to tell you
She's
twice.
the professor now. We're going to call her on the show.
I got
John, Visions 2 snuck up on me. Came seeing that out of nowhere. You told me a couple weeks ago it was about to drop.
Yeah.
But until then, I forgot even Visions 1 existed.
Yeah.
And I had watched Visions 1 3 times. It was one of those things I'd put on in the background. Just one 15-minute short is perfect for a short air on my phone while I'm fucking doing laundry.
It's a good heavy Chevy show to watch. You're getting in there. The porcelain is still cold when you sit down. Yeah, granted, it'll be a little bit warmer when you finish that particular episode, but it's good bathroom viewing.
Yeah, it is proof of concept for why shorts are so amazing. It's proof of concept. I have to actually educate myself through you. Visions isn't canon.
No, it's not. So it's actually good. It's a good. Tell the good people, give them a little education. So Visions, because not everybody's even familiar with it, that it exists, unless you happen to be scrolling through the Star Wars tab on Disney Plus. Look, there's a lot of content that as adults, we tend to kind of gloss over. And
Jedi Academy.
This is animated, but it's computer animated. Mostly, there are several traditional 2D animation style things in there, but
so Visions, what Star Wars Vision is, it's the Star Wars property through the lens of one of many different animation studios.
Right.
I believe there's 20 so far. I think there's 10 in season 1, 10 in season 2, something like that.
Yeah.
And each episode,
or 9 maybe.
It might be 18 total.
Weird.
With that being said, what's amazing is we get everything from the studio that had its fingerprints on the wildly famous Akira in season 1 to now we have a short by the people who brought us Wallace and Gromit. And before we started the show a couple hours ago, I interrupted John's workday to tell him the tremendous smile I got that something Star Wars was made with little clay models. There's something so interesting, and what Visions does is it allows these studios to fully be themselves, but with the Star Wars toys. And what's really, really interesting is since it's not canon, they really can go fucking buck. It's back to those Wild West days of the novels where everyone was the best.
They can go. I'm gonna take umbrage with that comment because the fucking the non-canonical.
That is I also don't like the way you said it, and your hat had a green tint
just
under it.
The fucking the emphasis on the right syllable. It kind of tell the story that they want. I'm gonna bury the lead right off the bat because this is your topic. In as much as I love the Animatrix, and if anyone's unfamiliar, the Animatrix was an anthology type show, or it was a movie, I guess. Where they said, okay, we're going to throw out some Matrix stories to you. Yeah. And that's probably the best way to put it. It's not necessarily canon, but you watch the Matrix flicks, you get it. We don't have to explain away, which is very Visions-like. You know the sandbox that we're playing in, which is a better analogy than even the toys, I think. This is our game. This is our story. This is the game that we're playing right now. It doesn't need any catch up. You're like, yep, I got it. The Star Wars, done. Oh, the Matrix, totally get it. Human batteries, Neo's the one. Whoa, Squiddies, done. We're good to go. That's how Animatrix handle their business. Now I'll say this: there was one Animatrix.
Yes.
Right. There wasn't multiple seasons, and that's probably because it didn't exist in today's situation where they would have 50
what the fuck, HBO Max?
seasons.
Get on that. Or Max.
Sometimes, though, Charlie, sometimes less is more.
Okay.
Because while I absolutely did enjoy, dare I say I loved certain entries into Vision Season 1, I did not enjoy the second.
Time to get up.
So, finally, guys, you got your wish. I personally did not enjoy the vast majority.
Was it because you have a weird
of Visions 2?
Is it because of Space India? Because that's my favorite episode, I think.
So I think probably the best way to do this is to go through the episodes.
Oh shit! I have to then pull up the list. Let me pull up the list.
Let me say this, just again, if you tend to lean more so in the John camp as opposed to the Charlie camp of opinion.
Wow, I don't even know how to dislike something that's only 11 minutes long.
I
Short of, like, I guess, like a colonoscopy, I won't
I know
dig.
a lot of your exes can say the same thing. They're like, 11 minutes? Shit, that'd be great.
Do it thrice.
Well, we get lunch first?
Well, see, one of those button outfits where it was all buttons to get into it?
I thought that almost across the board, I only enjoyed one, maybe, depending on how generous I was feeling in the moment, maybe 2 out of the 9 episodes. I felt like it was.
I have to tell you, the fuck.
I felt like it was such a drop off from the first season, and
You're
look,
an anime snob. You're like, it's out of Japan or it's nowhere, baby.
That might be true.
Oh my god, so you
That might
definitely
be true.
hated Space India and you hated Space Wallace and Gromit. No! Let's go from the top, you sack of shit.
All right.
You're an
So-
artist. You're an artist. I consider you an artist.
Occasionally.
No bullshit. You are what you are. On the stage, you've written one of my favorite. By the way, with this writer strike, this might be a time to.
I'm not union, so
we may
I
have
can
to
do whatever I want.
No, I was gonna say we may need to turn to our boy at the Secret Stash. We might need to finally do like a short film version of your fucking play.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Now's the time. They're gonna be desperate for content.
It's written. It's already.
Let's fucking go. Let's start with Sith. I would argue Sith is like literally artsy
So
fartsy.
let's do this. Let's run through the episodes, and we'll do like a couple of minute summation.
Sure, I can do
of
quicker than
our take.
I'll try to be quick.
All right,
Let me
tell the good people episode name,
Sure.
episode description.
absolutely. Episode 1 is Sith. It also refresh your memory because I feel like I've. Oh no, you just finished this morning too.
Yeah.
So Sith. This is the story of a young female Sith apprentice who escaped her master. She's really confused because all of her fucking paintings keep getting blackwashed. She has her buddy android, like very Star Wars stapley. And then her master shows up and was like, "What's up, bitch? Time to go."
All right, so I'll jump.
Can I go first then? Because I
You
feel
can,
like
you can, yes,
like now you've not spoiled it, but like we
No,
kind
no.
of know that only a couple of these are going to get past the goalie for you.
Sure.
I thought stunning, beautifully designed, beautifully executed, a perfect way to be an episode 1 of this sort of thing where it's a bunch of shorts.
And that is important. The order. That you put
Absolutely,
things
it's not like
'Cause
that
you-
Netflix thing where like it was random orders for episodes because
Right.
the artists were like they're all on
But
equal
on the
footing.
same token, like if you have 2 shorts that are almost identical in subject matter.
Do the thing where you're
oh,
burying
I'm sorry,
leads.
my bad.
I'm not First of all, I didn't produce
Sorry
this
at all.
shit. I don't know why I'm getting so offended.
Charlie
I
paid
did.
it.
I made Sith. I thought was a perfect episode 1. It let me It reminded me of the sort of story I was getting.
Yeah.
I thought the fight was fucking dope. There's a Sith v Sith fight because she's kind of like, nah, fuck you. I control my destiny.
Would you have called her a Sith still at that point, or would you have called her Grey?
My problem is I don't fully acknowledge Grey Jedi. Because Ahsoka, people are like, she's the first Grey Jedi. I'd be like, that bitch is a Jedi. Hard J. Jedi.
She might be closer to the Jedi when they were first formed than the organization.
If anything, I would say like she's like how I treat religion. Where I'm like, I don't like the house they hang out in.
I just do what I want. Fuck them if they can't take a joke.
Yeah. I like being a Roman Catholic, except for all those rules. Yeah, so I guess she was just a force wielder?
Yeah, but she was also trained.
So bitch was a Sith. She's a former Sith apprentice. Apprenticist. She's a former Sith apprentice.
She's a former Sith princification.
But no, she was trying to escape the clutches of the dark side.
She didn't want the life, right? So it's
She didn't want the life.
closer to a gang member trying to like bounce because, well, whatever, they don't want to deal with that bullshit.
You were like, lame.
So,
Be bad or be good.
I'll say this.
Fuck redemption stories.
So for me, that particular episode was far more style over substance.
Okay.
Right? So like, again, Charlie mentioned before, like she's an artist and she's got painting going on. And granted, this is outside canon. So everything that happened in Star Wars prior or afterwards doesn't fucking matter. In general, like just a real general note, let me say this. Just because you hand somebody a lightsaber doesn't make it Star Wars anything. They just have a lightsaber, which they don't actually fucking even say lightsabers in Star Wars if we go back and watch it, which is a real mindfuck for me.
Even still, I feel like Rey is like, know what I love? Lightsabers.
I don't think so. We have to.
What's your name? Ray what? Ray lightsaber.
Lightsaber ink coming out. Get your lightsaber needs fulfilled.
Oh, it's a fucking little racist thing from episode 1 with the fucking tiny little wings.
merchandising. So it didn't feel at all Star Wars to me, and I'm very well versed, especially the droid, because that droid is unfamiliar. It's just a fucking. It was basically a Technics Erector set. You're like, okay,
fuck you, I'd buy that toy.
Okay, the fucking transport was like dumb. Like, how do you see through the wheel? How do you see through the wheel, bitch? You better be using your Sith powers.
Fair.
So I didn't enjoy that first episode. It
All
didn't
right.
feel Star Wars to me, with the exception of you have a quote unquote good guy or a questionable person versus the bad guy. And they had lightsabers. That was the absolute limit of the Star Wars. So hit him with episode 2.
Here's my problem. I'm also gonna.
Man, we already heard it already.
I don't like to do this, but I'm gonna do this. I'm not changing my vote on any of these.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I'm gonna start proceeding it with whether I liked it or not. I liked Sith, and also I'm gonna say if I agree with you, yes, and I'm gonna say if it changed my vote, no. Screecher's Reach, which is undeniably Star Warsy, because it's quite literally
don't try to negate any points that I might have. Okay.
So this is a story about a young girl and her friends seeking a break from the everyday happenings in a rural workhouse. They go to wander. They come across a legendary cave, and then guess what, bitch? Found a kyber crystal. Sith Master shows up. It's kind of 2D style.
Yeah.
Yeah, testing ground for Force-sensitive children. And the Sith lady shows up, and she's like, "What's up, bitch? Let's go."
So I'll start with this one. Yeah. I liked this episode. I liked the art style. It was closer to like the anime type style that I very much enjoy. But on the same token, this is a story that had consequences. The story had I felt like I was in the Star Wars world, even though it wasn't a planet that we had seen before.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't particularly
this could have
reminiscent.
opened up an episode of Mandalorian, and I wouldn't have been like weirded out.
For sure. This felt Star Wars to me. I felt like, okay, that was a story worth hearing. Yeah, I actually, that was my kind of like questionable. Like I could go either way, but remembering it now, I liked that episode.
I lean more positive than you, but other than that, I think everything you said is 100% accurate. Yeah. In the Stars, third episode, two sisters, last of their kind. Basically, the Empire shows up and ravages their planet for resources, primarily seemingly water. The mom's fucking missing. The sister goes to get more water. Chaos with the Empire ensues. At bare minimum, there's a lot of Imperial uniforms. They're kind of defending their home from the insurgents. What'd you think?
No, this is you first.
So this one, you know, it's fine. This one struck me as the first one felt boring. I felt like for a short, I was bored. I was like, let's fucking go. Like, I could have done without this just because what did it tell me? It's just very, it didn't really build a new world I'm interested in. Didn't tell me anything interesting about the Empire. It was very, very...
And again, it's not that... they're not canon building, right? Like, you shouldn't walk away from any of these stories thinking, oh, shit, I didn't know that. Because you still don't know that, because these are different variations. Like to put it in the context of where a lot of the comic book stories are told now, like this would be almost the Star Wars multiverse.
Yeah.
Where it's like still Star Wars, even not exactly. Stupid. It was like a totally useless. We've seen this story literally 100 times before. And the worst thing that you can say about it is just told better. Yeah. Like, you've seen the same story, but a superior version, meaning that this one was totally unnecessary. Because now you're just retreading, you're reheating fucking food, leftovers, from a meal that wasn't particularly great to begin with.
I'm with you. I'm really worried about your review on this one. Mm-hmm. I Am Your Mother, a.k.a. now that's what I call pod racing! Episode 4, I Am Your Mother, focuses on a family race run by the Rebel Alliance Academy for up-and-coming pilots. A new young Annie, who's embarrassed by her sweet but clingy mother, has decided not to enter the race, but then, of course, does. There's the popular girl with her cool ship. Oh, fuck.
when someone says to you, hackneyed.
Oh no!
When someone says
this
to
one
you,
hurts my feelings like I wrote it.
when someone says to you, ham-fisted. When someone says to you, fucking eat it, you'll like it. Almost instinctively, we have this reaction of like just spitting it up. Like, I will eat what I want to eat. To me, this episode might have been one of the worst, one of the worst offenders of the. I'll ask this question: who do you think that was the intended audience for that was?
Me, I guess. It felt
Really,
like
though?
intended
Like,
for like kids.
it was,
I could imagine a kid watching that and having the same like wide open eyes as the pod racing scene in episode
remember
1.
what we were talking about with Xavier and like his kind of like
Yeah,
his
how he's
little mini generation.
little
Charlie,
sophisticated.
they're more sophisticated than that. This
So you're saying that the whole Wallace and Gromit world should shut down because that still exists.
No, because
This is
Wallace,
Chicken Run in space.
right? But Chicken Run, to use that example, is far more sophisticated. Chicken Run and its ilk, they use a simplified method of delivering a message that you should fucking know. And for all his weak-chinned shortcomings, George Lucas also took that approach. He said, "Look, there are moral stories. There are things that we don't talk about right now that are important to talk about, to think about, to apply to the real world." Now, to say it in that way is completely fucking boring, and if you're podcasting about it, it makes it even worse. However, if you're going to make a multi-million-dollar fucking whatever's bigger than a franchise, then now we're talking. Totally unnecessary. The style did not work at all in the Star Wars fucking like viewfinder for me. Completely missable. Completely missable.
See, this to me is like a proof of concept almost. Like, to me, this was like the thing to show when you talk about giving unlikely studios access to Star Wars. This is kind of what is in my head.
Give me a variation of a Star Wars story. They're like, this is perfect for these fucking guys.
I don't know what that sentence means.
So, in other words, any Star Wars story that we've gotten out there, loved it, hated it.
Oh, that I would want the Wallace and
you know
Gromit
what,
people to
these
do?
guys should have handled
Episode 1, because I already fucking hate it. You win the round because my feelings hurt. My second to favorite episode, Journey to Darkhead. Episode 5 centers on an unlikely pairing of a young mechanic and a young Jedi. The young Jedi being tempted to the fucking dark side, and of course, who's there? The Sith motherfucker trying to turn him. For me, this is classic Star Wars. This, to me, looked like Star Wars, sounded like Star Wars, felt like Star Wars. The story was lowbrow enough, I think, to hook people of all ages. I think it was thrilling enough to hook wily veterans of the Star Wars universe. To me, if that last one is proof of concept of what they're trying to do with Visions, Journey to Darkhead is the most Star Wars-y short in all of Vision so far.
I agree with you.
Fuck yeah!
Excuse me. I did enjoy it. To the point where I would have been angry had it been the first one. Because like,
you would have been.
This is a table setter, nice. And now we know what we're in for. And it was so. Even you have to admit that was like almost compared to the rest of the season, that was an aberration.
Correct.
That's a standout. Which one of these things is not like the other? That was that type of an episode. And I'll put it in these terms, just so I don't come off as like a meanie. That's a type of Star Wars story that you could translate into any other style. Whether it's live action, whether it's computer animated, whether it's whatever the fuck. And you're like, yep, nope, I got it. That's absolutely Star Wars.
That could have been an episode of Ewoks. It would have been like, yep. I think this may have been my favorite episode. And again, I feel like you're definitely going to hate it. Spy Dancer. Spy Dancer is a famed dancer uses her unique skills to gather intelligence for the rebels via her top-paying gig at a premier club that's frequented by the Empire. Stormtroopers, Imperial people, for me, the twist ending, which I actually don't want to give away, the twist ending is why it's such a good give it away. All right. Her kid, who's stolen from her by the Empire, winds up like all kids, I imagine, would have been. You either wind up a Mandalorian or, I guess, in the fucking Empire. once they stopped using clones, they just kind of put kids through boot camp and they become stormtrooper. Kind of explains why they're shit shots.
Or are they?
Touche. I thought it was very cool. I think it looked tremendous. I love the conceit of it. This felt very Star Wars to me.
Did it?
While not looking like this could be adapted, but obviously changes would need to be made. But like considering we have like the fucking Cantina singers, not the boop bop boop bop boop, but all the other versions that have been like these big stage productions.
I wish we did.
This to me felt very, very like it felt Star Wars, but also unique, which I think is a compliment to the form. You're like fuck sky dancing.
Well, here's the thing. First, let me say this fucking episode should have been called "Oh,
one more time."
Would you like to dance, Imperial? Terrible, fucking terrible, Charlie. First and first, mostly,
First of all,
I'm
you just
gonna
heard
go
me.
ahead.
You were like, not only are you wrong, you're all. It was fucking terrible. You could have just said terrible, you prick.
So,
I hate this show live.
For anyone who Charlie would have muted me 12 times by now if we were remote. So again, like Charlie referenced, they're dancers. I got news for you, Charlie. During war, soldiers don't go to fucking French clubs. They're like, we're gonna go watch these bitches dance.
What's a US? When did USO shows happen? They didn't have one of those in the middle of World War II.
When did Rogers lose his business? Yeah, exactly. USO done did him right. So in essence, this is the analogy is, and I'm sure somebody thought they were so terribly clever. Where the fuck is Ellis for this? Because he would be right in there with me.
No, Ellis has to defend Star Wars. That's
this
all he
was
has.
not all of it. So in essence, this was like when Germany not like. This is clearly what was fucking drawn from when Germany invades France, and then there are French operatives working behind the scenes, and that includes artists who smashed the German officers and the German soldiers. And again, I hate to burst any bubbles, but that's clearly what these dancers were implied to be doing.
Dancing hookers,
were smashing. Yeah, they were
Space
smashing
boning?
imps. And then Dum Dum loses her fucking son. She basically handed him over. So I just take this kid. I don't remember even them asking, like, hey, can I get that son? Like, no, take him. Get the fuck out of here. So they give up the kid. And she can't even see this dude in the shadows in the background. She's like, oh, that must be him. He's got a white jacket on. Yeah, so does every waiter in the best restaurants that I've ever been to. Are you going to burn your fucking joint to the ground, basically eviscerating all of the information that you've collected? Which, by the way, if anyone wants to garner information for those people who might be in a situation better than yours, throwing out little fucking Apple, what are those fucking
AirTags?
Throwing out Apple AirTags, like, woohoo! We really fooled them now. It is blinking and making sounds. You have fooled nobody.
I'll tell you this.
You're just a whore. You gave away your son for no reason, and all your own people hate you because you burned your own shit to the ground for no good reason. It was your kid. You dumb dummy.
Speak of the devil, he shall
Alice!
appear.
Alice! Join us! Good man, good man, good man. Yes. Ellis knows what's up.
I am not going
That's what
to.
sucks.
I am not going to put up with you talking about these lovely space dancers as space hookers. How first and first mostly dare you?
Terrible.
Space India. Force sensitive kid who's real fucking dumb and liberal with her force usage. They're trying to escape the Empire on a train. Space Dubai. And I think it's called like the planet's called like Dubai. It's like very on the nose.
Let me say this.
The grandma was badass.
She was bad.
And she had an ass.
Period. The Indian episode might have been the most insulting, objectionable, painful Star Wars anything that I have ever seen. And I've seen
Why?
the original Star Wars Christmas special.
What?
Charlie, it was so bad.
You don't want
If
like
they
Space
get-
Little Italy?
If they get sued by all of Bollywood, I will fucking support. I want to be on that class action, Charlie. It was insultingly bad, not just to Star Wars and to fans like myself, but to like just any entertainment value was completely stripped of it. In essence, had the animators or the script writers or whatever excuse that they're trying to pin on had jumped into the fucking screen like WB style and be like, huh? See what we're doing there? Wink, wink. I would have been maybe less offended. The accents were so gruesomely over the top. Obviously, we watch it here in the States, so we're watching the English dub. It was not.
Oh,
made
was it
that
in?
way. It was gruesomely. Fucking Hank Azaria could not be held to a worse standard than the entirety of this episode. The least Star Wars anything.
Oh shit! Is
that
this
I
how we
have
get
seen.
canceled?
I
don't know
half
if you're
of us-
allowed.
Oh man, this fucking episode stunk on ice.
Let's,
Just fucking terrible. Space Pakistan would have left voluntarily because that episode was so bad.
I thought we would avoid.
Terrible.
I thought we'd avoid
No,
all the lines.
We were going there.
You went to Space Pakistan.
I felt like it did.
Damn.
I felt like it. Terrible. Terrible.
Another episode. Is it my turn or your turn? My turn?
I think this one's mine.
The Pit. Fearless young man is forced to dig for kyber crystals to help the Empire build a city. They mine all the kyber crystals, and they're in the bottom of the hold.
Let me first start
I've
this
never seen you
assault.
this like frustrated.
Let me start this.
And you loved Visions 1.
I loved Visions 1. Was not expecting it. It was like an unrequested gift showing up under the tree on Christmas morning, or in our case, Christmas
And
Eve.
Visions 2 is like,
we
you
have-
got your favorite present, but I opened it, thus it was mine.
Yeah, exactly right.
Fuck.
So let me ask you this: aside from Ellis, what are kyber crystals used for?
Jedi crystal, lightsaber crystals, and for Death Star beams.
And also apparently for building fucking cities in the middle of goddamn nowhere, which really only exist because of the poor slave force that you have digging a hole. Now let me ask you this, Charlie.
Yes, John in the front.
In any other instance within Star Wars, or 99.9% being the case outside of Star Wars, let's just say that like the back in good old 1849 when the gold rush was going on, covered his nuts, which is the right reaction. When they went looking for gold, like to them the most valuable commodity to be found, where did they look? In one specific area? And like, if it ain't there, it ain't nowhere? Or did they spread it around?
My understanding is they spread it
They
around.
spread it around like the most popular gal in high school. Guys, someone sat down, took pen to paper, and said, this is a great idea. We're going to have a story where the most douchey fucking stormtroopers that you've ever even heard about, much less seen, force fucking people into labor. They have to dig the world's largest hole by fucking hand. No, we're going to have a lot of other equipment, but it's going to be busy building a city in the middle of the fucking desert. Fine. These poor slabs, though, they're going to be digging a hole for kyber crystals. Now, the funny thing is, yeah, you can make other holes, but we're not gonna. Just keep on fucking digging and keep on digging. And what happens when you hit the bottom of the hole, which I didn't realize could happen. Apparently there are bottoms
There's
of
different
holes.
levels. There's like magma and shit.
Yeah, that's it. It
At
just
some
looked
point
like,
you need like a diamond drill.
it looks like they just hit pavement. But that all being said, fine. So, they hit the bottom, right? Okay, you know what? You can tap out an oil fucking reserve.
Yeah.
Fine, let's pretend that makes any kind of sense, but it doesn't. So they say, okay, now we have this valuable workforce that we have invested all of this time and effort into. Oh, you're done now? We're going to leave you in the hole. Oh no, you're going to kill us? No. We're just going to leave you in the fucking hole, and we're going to fuck off to Kyber City just down the road, like it was Emerald fucking City, but there's no lions or no scarecrows or no nothing. Charlie, that fucking story was as nonsensical as it was totally fucking useless. What was the point? Oh, the Empire dicks. Yeah, we know that. We've established that the Empire are douchebags.
I didn't get the chance to answer, but I guess we'll just go with yours. So what let me just make sure I'm right about this. So far your takeaway
So bad.
So far your takeaway is like too much Kyber Crystal in Vision Season 2. So what about AAWA's song, which is another city mining Kyber crystals, but they're evil Kyber crystals.
They're like, hey, if you hated that episode, wait till you watch this shit.
And then she sings. Her dad's like, don't sing, but at the end she sings, and the Kyber crystal's like, I'm a good Kyber crystal now. Because you're force sensitive. Let me just real quick, it's gonna be okay, man.
First and foremost, they follow up a trash Kyber crystal centric, nonsensical bullshit episode with another Kyber crystal episode. Now here's what really
four Kyber crystal episodes this season.
Here's the thing.
You're so sincere.
So you say to all these entities out there, look, we really like your work. You guys do amazing things. You can now play with the Star Wars IP. Tell whatever story you want. Assumingly, independent completely of these other studios. But we still kind of have to know what you're going to write about. When two of these motherfuckers are like, all right.
Kyber crystals.
More to the point, we are digging for Kyber crystals.
Might as well put them back to back.
The second time you get that picture, like, no, yeah, that sounds kind of cool, but we just had, you know what, fucking make it anyway. So now you have, so before, it was digging for the fucking Kyber crystals really bad because it's for the Empire. But in this situation, it's for the Jedi. We'll do the exact same fucking work because we're goofy space panda bears and we don't really care. We're gonna do it happily. Literally the same thing. One group are like, whoa, whoa, and then fucking across the pond, they're like, so you have one group that's so happy to be doing the terrible slave work, and something, oh no, they're bad guy Kyber crystals, what are we gonna do? And then fucking dumb baby Mariah Carey's like, I'll sing to them. Terrible. Bad storytelling. Non-interesting on its best day. Like, non-canon is one thing, but fucking, like, I feel like these motherfuckers they didn't watch anything Star Wars. Maybe they kind of caught a trailer here or there. And if that's the case, they caught the wrong fucking trailer. That episode stunk on ice.
What's your name? Ray. Ray what? Ray Kyber Crystal.
Oh, fuck, I watched both episodes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Terrible. Run the credits.
Whoa.
That sucked. It sucked. I stand by my... I'm going to say that there were 2 episodes of any value whatsoever. The rest were hard garbage. Honestly, to the point where I started questioning myself. I'm like, were these...
Am I grumpy?
No, were these just the episodes that, like, were left over?
Oh.
Where they said, okay, give us fucking 20 episodes, all you folks. And then they ran with the first 9. And like, yeah, this was really good. And then they're like, all right, let's fucking run.
Shit left over.
Holy fuck.
Do you... What the fuck?
What happened?
Do you want a Vision Season 3? Or is
Not
this
anymore.
ruined it for you?
Not anymore. Again, it made me wonder. I'm like, fuck, man. If they made another...
Don't rewatch Visions 1. Now I'm worried.
No. I actually did delve a little bit. I'm like... Did I have Candy Rose glasses on when I watched the first one? Because it was like such a unique concept. I'm actually grateful now that they didn't make an Animatrix 2, because it very well may have been a diminishing return. If Visions 1 for me was a 9 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10, because anthology series are made for that.
There's always going to be 1 or 2
where
that
you're
don't
supposed
hit.
to say, like, I really like this one, I didn't like that one so much. Anthology series force you to Charlie it and say, I like this one, then I like this one, this one better, this one. Visions 2 was a 2. It was
shit.
It was bad.
It was a big number 2.
It was a sloppy, wet doo-doo fart. Gross.
Well, on that very positive note, go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and go see it today. Absolutely check out Sweet Tooth Season 2. It is absolutely worth the investment. But it seems like Visions, at very best, you can desperately avoid if you're on Planet John. Pretend it doesn't exist. But, John, I need you to be the embodiment of how we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast, because first, you gotta turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the volume up. Then you gotta tune Ben Marion. Open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Say it, my space girl.